Sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is to step back. And this is something that you've learned and also an archetype in which you've mastered. I see you embodying the Hermit archetype. And the thing is about you, you're multidimensional, and this is just one of many dimensional frequencies that you are able to tune into and embody when required. The Hermit represents discernment, intuition, and actually taking a step back from others in order to maintain clarity or truth. He has this 8-pointed star seed of wisdom, and it's this lantern that illuminates his path. Okay, so here's the Hermit octave. And he carries this lantern of guidance, as you can see right there, meaning compassion remains, but he does not walk everyone else's path for them. Instead, you understand something very important, which is every soul has their own mountain to climb, and you can illuminate that path for others, but you cannot climb that path. You cannot embark on that journey for them. And I'm seeing you as someone who has been able to show others the door, but it's up to them and their free will, whether they choose to apply it to actually move through that doorway and into a entirely new experience. So with the Hermit, let's get into this archetype. Let's get into this octave. I'm going to read this cosmic tree reference for you because this is the Hermit in this Cosmos Vision deck, and this actually represents the bridge of vulnerability. So it's this interconnected tree. I'm seeing it as like an elder. It's also a bridge where you are able to be deeply honest with yourself, thus deeply honest and integral enough not to interrupt the process or stage that another soul is moving through for their own evolution. Okay, so reaffirming an inner truth. This is something that you need to hear. I'm going to tell you about you, the impact, and what it is that you're experiencing, but then I'm also going to draw a message for you. Okay, so we are told that the cosmic tree is an epicenter of all souls. It's where we all come from and where we will one day return. It has many names over time, but its roots is the collective unconscious unfolding for eternity. It's the Great Mother, the life source of all souls, and the heart of the truth of all things. It's existed since the beginning of time and will exist long after we are gone. It's wise not to seek out the cosmic tree, but rather to find comfort in its existence. If the cosmic tree comes up in a reading, it's offering guidance through the collective unconscious. Take this as positive affirmation that the path that you're on is the right one, and that in contemplation comes understanding and growth. And I'm seeing almost like an internal thing that you're contemplating, where you're pausing in the presence of you and the higher intelligence in which you are, before you take action. It's almost like you're seeing the power in the pause. Trust that the truth that you seek is to be buried within the fibers of your own being. Understand that knowing your inner truth may require isolation. Spend time with yourself in quiet because there is a seed that needs nurturing. Now I'm seeing that with you where love remains in your interconnectedness to all things, but without entanglement. So there could be periods of isolation where it's like, you know when to retreat back to yourself. I'm seeing it as moving from like fourth density, which is like love being refined, into fifth density, which is actually utilizing your discernment in, okay, what do I need to do in order to show myself acts of self-love as well? And it's not because you don't care, but it's because you understand something far deeper, right? It's like your eternal light forever guides your path when we talk about the Hermit archetype, where you can love someone deeply, but still step back and observe the patterns neutrally that they're working through. This is a reading that, is very interesting because it's goes against what it is that we were taught, because sometimes our highest participation is to actually not intervene. Sometimes our highest participation is knowing that choosing something that's in alignment with our highest expression is always in the highest expression of another soul who is completing their lessons without you feeling like you have to interfere. And that is almost like the saver complex, because compassion is something that holds the heart open, yes, but wisdom also discerns how close we stand to that. Right? So I'm seeing it as energetic boundaries or barriers, because even the yellow, I'm seeing it as like solar plexus energy. And I was seeing flexes. So it's almost like the solar plexus may feel like it's flexing in the way where it's contracted. Maybe you've been doubting, is this something that I want to continue immersing myself into? I'm seeing it as like the narrative or the character in which is highly conducive for your personal highest expansion. The way I see it is, because you're totally sovereign within yourself, you honor the creator in another being in being able to walk that path without you having to walk it for them. So there's something very interesting that you could be navigating. And it does remind me of like when we intervene too much, we can interrupt the lesson that's trying to unfold for another soul, especially when it comes to even like karma playing out in another soul's life. The best teacher is the one that sends you back to yourself. The best teacher is the one that allows the student to learn through experience. And the interesting thing is, we're all students and teachers of life, and there's something in which you're learning at this period, which is to learn how to step back. Learn how to step back. And know that self-love is awareness. It's awareness of not feeling like you have to interrupt the soul's journey. For if you try to help the butterfly open up its cocoon, you'll kill it. There's something significant that's happening there. And it reminds you of what Ra teaches us. I don't know if you guys know the Ra deity. I mean, you probably do if this has found you. Like, Ra is the deity in ancient Egyptian mythology, and he teaches us about compassion and boundaries. I'll probably throw up an illustration right now so that you can kind of see the depictions of what I'm trying to say. But in the teachings of the Law of One, Ra repeatedly explains that spiritual maturity is balancing love and wisdom. And he describes consciousness evolving through different densities or mediums. So the fourth density is love and compassion, and the fifth density is the wisdom and discernment. So Ra explains that beings who awaken to compassion often experience distortion towards overcompassion, where they want to help, save, or even carry others. But without wisdom, compassion can just become an energetic entanglement. So Ra explains that wisdom refines love, not by removing compassion out of the equation, but actually understanding free will and karmic learning. One of the core principles Ra emphasizes is the law of free will, which is also called the law of confusion. And it means that every soul must learn through their own distortions, experiences, and choices. And when we intervene too much, we actually end up interrupting their cycle of learning, which is why many advanced beings, according to Ra, often appear detached but loving. They understand that growth occurs through experience, contrast, and self-realization. Ra suggests that sometimes the best course of action to take is none at all, and to simply step back and just bear witness, not to try to intervene, not to interrupt, not to absorb, not to try to fix, but just allow, because it's when we allow that we remember that each soul is a creator that's exploring its own path, its own choices, its own distortions, its own decisions, its own indecisions, and just seeing the beauty in self-discovery, seeing the beauty in knowing that sometimes, well, not sometimes, all the time, wisdom is gained through experience. And you, as the hermit, have gained so much wisdom through your journey of experience. So as much as we may like to give words of advice or encouragement, sometimes people will hear it, but they won't actually be ready to listen. Sometimes they won't hear you until long after you're gone. They will hear the echoes of you or what it is that you've said and continue, I'm hearing, to ponder or reflect on that. So if you've made it to this point, this reading is going to be for you. This is a reading that is one of the tougher ones to do because it can be uncomfortable. Let's go ahead and tune into it. So let's go ahead and get a Cosmos Oracle message first. And take a look at what's going on quantum, entropy. So entropy actually talks about a very interesting message with Spyro at the base. Spyro talks about you can see stepping back as actually a vicious cycle or a virtuous cycle. And that's going to depend on the way that you're seeing it, the way that you're feeling towards this circumstance, and also that will interrupt or dictate the way in which you'll experience the event. So what's super interesting is that this refers to the law of free will, which is also the law of confusion. And entropy talks about loss of order in a system, which creates molecular confusion. I'm seeing it as like the nebulae and the nebula, which can create almost this interstellar dust where we can't see ourselves clearly. We can't really see maybe the role that someone's playing in our life very clearly, or the challenges in which we're moving through and how that's going to benefit the soul's evolution until more time happens. More time happens through you until you experience more change down the timeline. Then you'll have a clearer point of reference. I'm hearing you'll see things from a higher vantage view. Right, so let me go ahead and read entropy. Entropy talks about, it reminds me of the 𝓬𝓪𝓻 reading where we spoke about loss of order in a system. The 𝓬𝓻 is able to remain locally ordered. So this is knowing that there's a cosmos within what appears to be disorderly, even in another person's life. And yes, you can restore order from chaos, but there's something around not interrupting another creator's ability to restore order from chaos within their own lives and becoming their own source of cosmic knowing. I'm hearing and returning to their inner still sanctuary within, no matter what's going on around them. And if you can model that example of being able to do that, that's where your teaching ability lies. Okay, a good teacher will always send you back to yourself. It's like when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But when the student has truly learned the lesson, the teacher will disappear. And there's something around you kind of fluidly moving through life in this way. So you'll remain locally ordered, right? You understand the cosmic viewpoint or vantage point of what another individual is going through, because we're all children of light, learning to return to that wisdom once again, all sourced from the same wisdom, okay? It's a remembering that's taking place. Each child has a part to play in the cosmos. Each child has a part to play in the cycles. And the only reason you can recognize the cycles that another individual is moving through is because I bet that you've probably moved through them yourself. While disorder is displaced elsewhere, you understand that the confusion that another individual is experiencing is not yours to take on. So that's why I'm seeing it as boundaries. Let me go ahead and read E as well. Okay, so entropy speaks about loss of order in a system. Entropy indicates a level of molecular uncertainty of a system. It's a measure of the amount of energy which is lost due to being unavailable to do work. It's a transition from a disorderly state into an even more disorderly state. There are notions of microscopic order and disorder, uncertainty, a set of messages of which only one will be received. The word entropy comes from the Greek word meaning of confusion derived from a twisting motion. And what's interesting is Spyro is at the base, which is that twisting motion, which is the cosmos, right? Experiencing itself through a human being. Now, this talks about turning around, returning, or changing the layout. At first look, entropy shows us disproportion. We improve by putting order to that molecular confusion. Get down to earth, introduce organization, establish your ideas so that you can clear your hesitation. Now, this is something that I see certain fractals moving through around you, and you've moved through this many times, and it's something that you continue to move through. Let me go ahead and take a look at spiral. The spiral talks about the curve which emanates from a point moving farther away as it revolves around the point. Our base level of energy can be easily impacted by a vicious cycle or a virtuous cycle. A positive influence in your life can change your life for the better, while a negative influence can push you into the opposite direction. In this case, an influence comes from a physical being holding a reoccurring line of thought. What you do, okay, I see what you offer, because when you speak to the Hermit, and I've done like readings about the Hermit before, where he actually is like speaking to a portal, because he offers you a complete different perspective than you would have seen your life events from without that interaction. And there's something about just like gems of knowledge or wisdom that you derive from this hidden wellspring and you share that. I'm just seeing like a form of wisdom that actually becomes enlightenment, because you see yourself as a light being, but then you also see everyone else as light beings. Even if there are certain belief systems or things that they're moving through that have distorted or disrupted the way that they see themselves or their own potential, it's something around you not doubting their ability to move through this, and move through this becoming their own source of strength, their own source of clarity, and not becoming reliant or codependent on you for that clarity, for that guidance, for that strength. I'm just seeing that. So this is about a physical being that's been holding a reoccurring line of thought or confusion. And there's something that you say, and that's it. That's all of your experiential participation completed in the dynamic. Then it's knowing when to step away, okay, and when to step back. And it reminds me of that quote of when they're ready, they're ready. When they could have just been hearing you at the moment, but then they'll actually listen. They may have only looked at the things that you were showing them until suddenly you step back and they really, really see it. So a vicious cycle is a situation where one event is the cause of another, while simultaneously the latter is the cause of the first. We can call unwanted habits a vice, but we still repeat it, resulting in discomfort or a dangerous situation. Moving into the virtuous cycle requires moments of inspiration, happiness, gratitude, increase our desire to give love, the most powerful source of energy available, forming a virtuous cycle. This generates a multiplying effect to our energy, which is loaded by the consequent positive acts, generating waves of good energy. So this is about you being someone that creates moments of inspiration. It's almost like, yeah, this happened. Even if someone is dwelling on the story or the character that played out, you can instantaneously extract the wisdom or the higher level of understanding. And that may take time to really integrate. It's like they may think that they know, but over time they will actually understand something that they could only previously understand, or they may actually catch up in that understanding with something that their soul already understood. Okay, that's the way that I'm kind of seeing it, and the impact and effect that you have. So we have the chance to live on both sides of the dual vortex. Just like an energetic yin and yang, our unique ability as energy alchemists is to pass between one side to another. This decision to choose where you position yourself in the vortex lies fully in your hands. So this is literally saying a 111 portal, right? So 111 is all about your intuition. 111 is actually a destiny card in here. So I'm going to go ahead and read it for you real quick. 111. So this is a destiny card. This says follow what you feel when it comes to these circumstances in your, third dimensional interactions. Listen as your intuition helps to guide you to what you're manifesting. The inner whispers are helping you to create all it is that you desire. Listen, lean in, and follow your soul. The affirmation is, life is always happening for me. I'm allowing myself to lean into what feels good. So this is focusing on, maybe it feels good to express a certain level of, wisdom or knowledge or inspiration, but then know when it's time to take a back seat. That's what I'm seeing. Okay, how can someone learn to drive when you're always in the driver's seat? Take a passenger, take a back seat, take a bus. So I'm just seeing that for you, and buses in the metaphysical is actually an opportunity. So I'm seeing that as there's a kind of a new navigation style or something that you're navigating. So yeah, I see you as a hermit archetype right now, or embodying that. Let's go ahead and take a look at, what should we take a look at for you? What should we take a look at for you? Because if you've made it here, okay. We have two characters in the Cosmos Magic of the Gathering. First message is focus. Focus. And the second message is higher power, which is the Council of Heloid. And then you have breaking free at the base. So I'm seeing this as you focusing on a higher power. I'm also hearing like a higher knowing. You're focusing on the bigger task at hand and not getting caught in the storm, and instead seeing it as a speck, okay, like a reference point. So focus says, how do we focus our minds? How do we get clarity when there is confusion? Deep breathing, exercise, meditation, a walk in nature, sauna, swimming in a cold river, all these things can calm the mind, What brings you back to focus? So how many times can you come back to your center and recognize your interconnectedness to all things, but also not lose yourself in density or becoming entangled, right? Sometimes we get so lost in the human emotion that we empathize with somebody to the point where we actually end up taking on, okay, unconsciously, their confusion, maybe about their life's direction or the circumstances in which they're moving through. That's not for you to figure out. You can illuminate the path, and that's all you can do. You can embody clarity within your own mission and your own journey, and sometimes that's the best thing that you can do. I'm hearing also becoming, I'm seeing like also like a star card energy, because someone can see you as someone that has moved through the things in which they're currently moving through, and they're confused in how you got to where it is you are, but you became your own source of light in those times of darkness. That's what the Hermit does. He moves through the dark valleys with no other light source but his own wisdom, his own internal and eternal light that's been guiding his path. But he wouldn't have known it was there if he was never in a position to discover it. And sometimes that position is when you have no other option but to become your own source of light, but to become your own source of inspiration, but to become your own muse. So you are the only one who can fulfill your dreams. If you're waiting for someone else to do it or think that someone else can fulfill it for you, then you put the power out of your own hands. Take the wheel of your life and focus your mind and heart on manifesting your own destiny. So there is something around you leading by example, all right? This is about beings that were created by mad magicians. And magician is someone who can control their fate and control their destiny. That's what it is to be weird. Now, what's super interesting, I only noticed this, is that these two cards are right next to each other in the deck, okay? And that's not by coincidence, because like this deck has been used many times. So the fact that they have literally come out together is super interesting. So the ancient Greek Stoics believed in the Logos. The Logos was the way, which is the geometry of life, the physics of the cosmos, and the nature of our being. What is your Logos? Where do you turn when your intellect cannot find an answer? Whatever you believe, there are times where you must let go and feel a power greater than us. Look at the stars at a clear night or sit by the ocean. The answer often comes when we marvel at the grandeur of the cosmos. Pondering the universe can also dissolve the need for questions entirely. Yeah. So sages seek their counsel when grave matters arise. And there's something around with focus. How do you focus on manifesting your own destiny? Because I'm seeing that being a point of inspiration or a point of remembrance of, yeah, you can move through this, or yeah, this is possible. And it's not something that you announce, it's just a way of being that you embody. It's moments of stillness within the chaos that you're able to come back to. It's moments of returning back to that inner still sanctuary and being seated in the eye of the storm. Breaking free of conditioning takes courage to go at it alone. You must take on the responsibility of being the creator of your reality. If your heart is telling you to leave the safety of the herd, follow it. If it's not checked, fear's non-stop chatter can take our full attention away from our heart and drain our energy. Put the fearful mind on hold and get back in touch with what lights you up. So there could be something around that where really, this is a being who basically achieved the status of a god just for having fun. And when we take a seat back, we can actually admire and find humor in humans that suffer because they took too seriously what the gods made for fun. Right? So, like, when we empathize and we take on the suffering that isn't ours, we immerse ourselves so deep within the system. But the moment that you become less dense in the medium you're immersed in, which has become buoyant, which is actually a lifeline, you open up an entirely new way of moving through this existence, and you end up modeling that as well. So the best way that you can lead is through example. That's your message. And That's your message. Okay. Let's also get a Shaman's Dream Oracle message too for you. Let's get a Shaman's Dream Oracle. So you have the Horseman, Herald of Change. Now, this can show up when you're in a position that he chooses to focus on the optimistic side of things. And it's not because he's naive, it's just a strategy in moving through life where, yes, you can feel the full range of human emotion, you can have compassion for another individual as well as yourself in your own journey, but you don't mistake yourself for those thoughts or emotions, instead, the observer behind them. And that's where liberation is really found. So 30. The whole point is to feel the full range, but also come back to your center and see the circumstances through the lens of source of, oh, this is actually an illusion that you created for yourself. Well, play in it. So when we understand suffering as a choice, allow a being to sit in that suffering until they decide that they've moved through it. Like, allow yourself to be upset until you decide you're not going to be upset about it anymore. Allow yourself to be angry until there's no more anger to be felt. Like, that's what I'm seeing. There's just something around moving up that self-organized system of emotions, which are vibrations, and also dimensions of ourself in which we're accessing. So when the Horseman appears, this is basically you, okay? He's inviting you to spread the good news. So it's like someone could come to you around, I don't know what to do because this relationship just ended, or I don't know what to do because I'm in the transition period of my job. And it's like, right? So they're coming towards you and you're spreading the good news, right? Everyone already knows the bad news, which is, oh my gosh, this is over or this is done. Your task is to point out the beautiful when others only see the ugly. Note the possible, no matter how implausible it may seem. So, okay, you just ended that thing, connection to a place, person, or thing. Oh my gosh, you've just made so much room for so much more in your life, right? That's what I'm seeing. Like, that is the inspiration in which you are. And allow someone to sit with that paradigm shift to start thinking about their circumstances differently, to start feeling about their circumstances differently, and then they'll be experiencing it differently. But you have to, I'm just seeing like you emit that frequency, you emit that information. I'm seeing it as like a transmission that will take time to be fully received, okay, and embodied. So this does not mean being giddy or blindly optimistic, but rather reminding yourself that every storm has a silver lining, right? So that could be something that you remind others of, like every single storm has a silver lining, no matter how implausible it may be. You know, you're clapping anyway. So it's like you can become the one that claps for yourself as well. Sometimes when it comes to taking that step back, you can become your own witness to your journey. And that's something that you really learn how to do, right? You don't seek external applause or acceptance. It's like you've learned how to accept yourself and become your own witness and observer to the things in which you've moved through. And everyone has that same potential. So become a herald of the positive. Put away the fatalistic attitude, the dire predictions, the dreadful expectations about the world or your life. Declare the arrival of a new and better you. Proclaim that you have risen from the realms of the dead, woken from a long and dreadful slumber, and are back on the world stage, and the show is on again. The Horseman cautions you not to allow your exuberance to become hollow or trivial. Be sure that there is substance to the news that you spread, and be willing to live up to the expectations that you raise. The world will welcome you with open arms and share an uplifting message. So I'm seeing that, you know, it's like, well, when you're ready to stop sitting in your suffering, you know, I'm here. It kind of reminds you of that. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at a Gateway of the Light activation check as well. Okay, so basically what we said, right? Akashic Stargate. It's like you are a portal. This is aligned with purpose, crossroads, and no wrong path. Okay, so when you know that there is no wrong path, there is almost an essence of liberation that you can feel in that moment, because everything was always in benefit for the soul's evolution anyway. Even the most tumultuous journey that another individual is going through, they're going through exactly what it is that they need to at that stage of their evolution. So it's not interrupting those internal profound discoveries that can happen in moments of solitude. So ancestral realm, karmic release, healing, the lineage, and boundaries. So what did we speak about boundaries with the solar plexus energy? Right? So let me go ahead and read this for you because this is going to be important. How are you doing? How are you? Let me know, guys, in the comment section. How are you doing? I would love to hear. What have you been moving through? And what's also interesting is that these two cards are right next to each other in this book as well, okay? So Akashic Stargates talks about basically a wormhole. And what did we speak about when I said the Hermit reading? If anyone remembers what that reading was called, please comment in the comment section down below or post the link. If not, I'll try to find it and also post it. But in that reading, I was literally talking about, again, the Hermit being a portal because he creates these wormholes where you're invited to kind of see your current circumstances, basically from the lens of the soul. Whenever the Akashic Stargate is presented to you, it's because you're at a critical point in your journey. So you're a Stargate. So whenever souls are at a critical point in their journey, here you are. They have an opportunity to move in a very particular direction and to make a decision, and they can feel overwhelmed where they're waiting for someone or something. Okay, so this is you to make the decision for them. Right? So, but they aren't here to walk a path that was set for them. They're here to walk a path that they choose. So yes, you can show them the road ahead, but it's completely up to them to choose, because a great teacher will always send the student back to themselves. And you're learning as a student of the universe as well how to allow that process to happen and not attach to the process of what that person may choose, because remember, everything is always in perfect design. There is no wrong path. The next phase of their journey cannot unfold until they decide which way to go. Know that whatever direction they take or decision that they make, they'll always end up on the right path. No matter how they get there, they'll always end up in a similar space. All source from the same wisdom, learning to return to that wisdom once again. We can have a savior complex when we forget that everyone is a creator in their own life and they can choose the things in which they want to create and they want to experience. Why do some of us believe that source, like genuinely, why do some of us believe that we are more infinite than any other extension of ourselves? We are equal in the system. Really. Just like you were able to become your own source of strength and move through those situations, why does the ego create distortions that another individual fractal of infinite potential cannot do that for themselves? Why is source with you and never with every other extension of itself? And that's not a message for everyone. But for some, yeah. So, no matter how they'll get there, they'll always end up in a similar space. Also know that purpose isn't just doing duty, it's about living life and experiencing joy. So there's something around the joy that the soul is experiencing through those pivots, through it not being pulled away from anything, but actually being pulled inwards to reconnect with that internal light, to reconnect with the infinite being that they are. Allow people to make their own decisions. Allow them to make their own mistakes. We learn through experience. We experience space-time so that we can experience the journey of our choices. And yes, fate will come in and intervene when it feels like we're not moving as proactively as we could be towards our, initial intentions before incarnation. So, ancestral realm. This card initiates healing on all levels, but particularly of the family line. There may be some ideas and beliefs in your family that you have found limiting or negative, okay? This could be you or also those around you. Know that they need to be not your truth. You have the opportunity to go beyond the challenging energies of your family lineage, especially if, they or you are facing a particularly challenging or harsh energy. They're learning how to hold sacred and safe space for themselves so that they can finally rest and put, those wounds down. They're being surrounded by their own ancestors. That could be something that you need to hear, and so are you as you do this. The ancestors are seeking forgiveness for any harmful decisions that they made without full awareness or the negative effects that it's been having on them in this lifetime. And if they found themselves in a particular situation that has impacted them from the past, a cleansing is taking place. Okay, so there's something around allowing that cleansing to take place. Like, what happens is faith is something that is a verb, it's not a noun. Faith means that we have to follow through with action and show up for ourselves. That self-belief is not just a little feeling that someone gives us, but it's a behavior. It's when we are pushed up against the wall that we really discover how strong we are. And there's almost like another message that's coming through there. Anyway, the message is that they'll realize that the energies of their past don't have to continue to govern their present moment or their future. They will learn to live from their own heart, but if you keep your boundaries strong, you can be open to carving out a new path. And I'm seeing it as, if you keep your boundaries strong, you allow others to be open to carving out that new path for themselves, to forge a path and walk down it, and not walk down a path in which you have forged for them. So that may be something that you need to hear. I'm going to get we also have karmic ball clearing, living in your truth. So that could be something that you're moving through for sure. Energetic clearing, rewriting your story, live your truth. So that story may look different in regards to how you're of service, how you're assisting. It's from a place of sovereignty and also respecting the sovereignty of another individual. Right, let's go and take a look at this. I will get one closing out message for you. Let's get one advice message for you in the tarot. Ooh. Seven of Cups and the Hanged Man. Okay, so the Seven of Cups is a card of smoky mirrors. Okay, it's a Venus and Scorpio energy. So it's somebody that is confused, right? It's literally that confusion card where sometimes life is a game of snake and ladders and we can slide down with the snakes, right? This basically talks about going downwards, falling into situations that require us to reflect back on hindsight and utilize our discernment, right? And see where we didn't trust ourselves, actually understand what our intuition sounds like, not because we were following the intuition of another, but because we learned what that sounded like within ourselves. And the Hanged Man is somebody that sits down. They actually suspend themselves on purpose. And not only do they look at their life through the lens of the soul, but also another life through the lens of the soul. And when you do that, you recognize them as a light being and all it is in which they're going to discover about themselves as they walk that path uninterrupted. I'm hearing specifically an intervention. You know, like an intervention, I see it as almost like a confrontation, or where someone's coming in a room and someone's coming into like intervene. Yeah, you're not doing that. Your absence may actually speak louder than your presence ever could. Your absence silently rearranges rooms. So, with that being said, I'm going to love and leave you right there. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, do consider subscribing because we love to have you around. Personal reading details are also down below. There will be a waiting list though, guys, because I'm traveling at the moment. And yeah, also check out Otter Spirit if you're looking for some high quality AAA grade jewelry. One of the proceeds are donated towards Otter Sanctuaries. You have 2 discount codes found in the description box down below. Let me know what you're moving through, how this resonated with you. And is there any specific stories in which you want to share? I always read the comments. I don't respond to all of them because I don't have time, but I really appreciate them and I really enjoy reading them. So definitely let me know how this has landed with you. And you've got this. Until next time. Bye.
Clouds in the sky don't care if I stay all day. Dreaming of time when you and I were dancing